Not like going.
Hello, Everett.
Hi.
How are you?
No, it's just
So it's going.
politics. Doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. You know, they probably say there's like 90%.
Yeah, but if it's close, they'll find the votes. That's the
Yeah, they will.
Megan, do you have a long night?
We've got coffee and snacks and security officer.
Maybe I should stick around.
Come on now. Join the party.
That's where.
Well, you do,
Center.
There's
You do a
something I
great
wanted
job,
to ask
Megan.
Wally, I can't remember what it
you really
was.
do. I'd support you anytime.
You know, leading up to this, I said, you know, I'm like a little kid.
Listen to Mark Kirshner sucking up over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this happens once every 4 years. Like, it's a big deal. It's exciting.
So,
Yes,
It's working.
you know, the audio is picked up.
it is.
Yeah, so make sure everybody talks in their mics.
Okay,
Otherwise, they will not be announced.
okay.
It doesn't pick up anything other than what goes in the mic.
Sounds good.
So it's connected and running.
Uh-huh.
We don't have a lot of audio control at this point because there's still pieces that have to be put together.
Mhm.
They got it up fast for me because I need them to.
Okay,
So they're gonna be putting a panel here
uh-huh.
by you
Oh,
that'll have mic control.
oh, I have control, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it would be beneficial.
Yes.
Megan will eventually come back here.
Yeah.
But yes, that'll
I won't
control
give
the
it back
mics. Okay. Move the chair.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
get tired of hearing somebody just.
Boy, that would be tempting.
It'll have a picture
Mhm.
like the seats.
Really?
Yeah, so you just.
No
yeah,
one will ever hear from Everett again.
There you go.
Never gonna hear from Larry again. That'll be on mute all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. He did that.
Oh, it's good. Hello, Brandon. How are you? Good. Enjoying the nice day?
Oh, it's beautiful out.
It is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Sighted my rifles in today.
What?
I sighted my rifles in today.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. This poor little deer. I think we should give them a gun.
I tell you what,
Pat, not you, Pat.
were
The
they?
deer. The deer. I said, I think we should give the deer a gun.
If you see where they live and the fact that they can run up those mountains, run up, and we poor two-legged people can't hardly stagger up.
Pat, have you been getting your emails about the TIF district in Wild Rose?
Yeah,
Okay, so you've answered them. They know
I
you're
haven't
coming?
answered them, but
Yeah, let them know you're coming, will ya? This goes to Bob Wadle.
what'd they do?
This is yours. Hello, Megan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm plugging right along.
Hello, Mary. Can you hear us?
Oh, you missed one actually. I'll get that one no time. Karen, just so you know.
Hello.
The first I'll have my office work. So if I need to step out there,
Okay, not a problem. No, I was really impressed when I went to vote today. They were so,
Mike.
are you your Dakota?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm like,
John,
Yeah,
Great.
I was there at
Yourself?
9:30, I think,
Good.
or 9:45, and I was 1:33.
Pat.
So.
Yeah, I think it was around 3 o'clock. Several of them were very close. They didn't come back.
Wow,
Still having some reaction.
finally got out there.
that's good.
Hey,
I'm almost done with this, Megan.
So windy, I went up to my tree. Right near the field.
Town chairman.
Yeah.
40 years.
What am I doing?
we built some really nice tree stands, and my wife went up one of them once, and that was it.
Yeah.
And she
Oh, I
says,
didn't see.
"Can't you
that.
feel this tree?
That must have been a late.
It's nature. It'd be doing that whether we were up here or not."
Right until you hear it start to crack.
Yeah, I said, "It's just gonna rock you to sleep."
Well, how's the little traveler?
That was quite a ride.
Yeah, I'll bet you.
It was
Fun?
good. It was fun.
Oh, good.
That's ridiculous.
I heard the weeds.
Did we request these or how come they printed?
They had mentioned at the last meeting, I think, that they were gonna do it.
Wow. I looked it all over on my computer. Well, I kicked it up to 75%.
They gave you a
Oh, my God.
What's that?
I already got a copy at home.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
Mark it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm looking at.
Mark.
This was the weather that was okay. Or, did they call you?
What? They call you extension?
What did
No.
Gordon think of all
Be there
that?
tomorrow for the meeting.
Okay.
You need to get
No
down
sticking
to-
his head out.
No,
either.
No, I didn't.
No, we got enough?
No
Okay.
kidding.
It was,
I called them and told them to tell you, but I also get a hold of you, so.
That's okay.
Yeah, no kidding.
Fine.
Yes, to you too.
I thought I saw Ruth.
Thank you, ma'am, I appreciate that.
Yeah, she was here.
Looks like she's on, but I don't know if she's got any audio. It has a little speaker there.
It's just so that need it.
Could you refresh me? When we go into public hearing, we open to vote, we start with the public hearing, and then we ask if any questions.
Yes, if anybody has anything to say.
Okay.
They can either ask a question or make a statement.
Okay.
We just ask if there's a reporter to speak on the vote.
Bob, you gonna be a public safety law?
It won't be an extension. It'll be-
Oh, okay, what about our board? They do that.
How you doing,
later on,
Patrick?
right?
Good, are you?
Ask their questions later on.
Just about normal,
Oh, yeah?
Just about.
about 90%.
Good, good. Amanda got it too, so she's doing fine. She was up yesterday, or Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, about
All
1,
right.
2 o'clock, I run out of gas. But they said that comes with age.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Very
that
good.
don't help it any.
Okay, yes.
Ruth-
That one especially is real cool. Yeah.
You got just a minute?
But it beats the
I have
alternative.
Ruth.
I was doing some work at the
Now I'm invading your space. Look what you're doing.
Yeah, look at that.
hardwood down.
I want to apologize for my
Kind of call the
constituent,
truck and see what's going on.
Joanna.
After I put the cardboard down, I
She's
was
nuts.
around, how am I gonna get up?
Yeah, that gets to be a problem. So getting down is easy.
You didn't get that.
If you ain't got
I crawled
something to grab a
underneath that
hold
truck,
of.
And then when I got back off the truck, how in the world am I gonna get up? I got nothing to grab a hold of.
Gets interesting.
No, nothing was on, the name wasn't mentioned or the
Uh-uh.
business. reference.
That's what I told everyone. I didn't see,
Like
I
old Bob
read the
Dylan says, it
Milwaukee
just keeps
Journal.
getting
I
better.
listened to the one every day. I don't know which one. I didn't see anything in Madison.
You still doing good?
Yeah, other than he don't like it there, but
Okay,
He hasn't liked it there since he been there.
no, he hasn't.
uh-huh.
Ronnie will go bail him out every once in a while and they'll go touring. That makes his day.
That's a real thing to look forward to with Ronnie.
Yeah. No.
So pretty soon he goes
I
up
kn-
to Arizona,
I,
don't he?
that's what I told everyone. I didn't see
was thinking
anything that
somewhere
mentioned her name
he
or
used to
business.
I would think so. Hey, as I told you, you guys do what you want with that thing in Cologne. Animal sanctuary.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
You do exactly whatever you guys want.
well, if she don't get her stuff in order,
Yeah,
it's just gonna be
Exactly.
cold. Not pretty.
That's okay. I am a lawyer.
What she told me, well, and she said she yelled back or she yelled first.
What the guys that were on before said, it has not improved from.
Good,
I
good.
feel sorry for that guy that's building to the north of her. He gets a south wind, he's gonna be one sorry camper. But
Yeah.
yeah,
She is something else.
She's, that's the way she is.
Yeah, that's a good
I never
one.
thought that.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah. Okay, it's 7:00 and I'll call the meeting to order. Megan, would you please do a roll call?
Mr. Bonfiglio,
here,
Mr. Piaski,
here,
Mr. Tim,
here,
Mr. Cap,
here,
Mr. Eckstein,
Here,
Mr. Jarvis,
here,
Mrs. Colada,
Here.
Mr. King,
here,
Mr. Waddle,
here.
Mr. Lauer, excused, and Mr. Kirschner.
Here,
Okay, Barry has asked me to remind you to pull your mics down and speak into the microphone. We have a new sound system we're working with, so please do. All right, next we will stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as printed. Motion by Mr. Bonfiglio, second by Mr. Cap. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we'll go to the approval of the minutes of the October 20th, 2020 monthly meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Waddle, second by Mr. Jarvis. Do you have any questions or comments concerning the meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, next we're going to go to the 2021 budget public hearing. At this time, if there is anyone from the public in the audience that would like to speak concerning the budget, now is the time. I'm sorry. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Anyone on video that would like to speak? All right, that concludes our public hearing. All right, we have no unfinished business, so we'll go right on to new business, and that would be County Administrator's Monthly Report. Mr. Civic.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the Board of Supervisors and members of the public. And looks like we just one person who's appearing via video. I know you saw the COVID report today. We're over 100 or over 1,300 people who've tested positive for COVID in the county. Those are not good numbers. I've looked at other counties throughout the country that are comparable in size, and I'm not looking at counties that have not had any COVID cases, such as some that are very isolated in Alaska, but actually counties that are in supposed COVID hotspots. This spot is much hotter. I know there was a notation in that report about the Red Granite Correctional Facility, and yes, prisons and any sort of group facility, whether it's nursing home or a prison, you can either control the disease because it's limited entrance and exit, or once it gets in there, it runs through it like wildfire. I know the Department of Corrections is having some problems in their facilities, both in Red Granite and in Oshkosh. But keep in mind, the people who are prisoners at Red Granite are not walking around. You're not going to run into them at Stone Ridge, but the people who do work there are in the general population, whether it's here or in the valley or wherever it may be. And I know I'm not wearing my mask, but I'm doing it so people can hear me remotely. I would ask all of you to please use your capital as community leaders to emphasize to the public that they need to wear these masks. No, it will not protect you absolutely, but the important thing is if you are positive for COVID, and you may be and not realize it because you may be asymptomatic, at least having the mask on will keep the virus from spreading too far and keep from infecting other people. And in addition to that, we had a director's meeting at noon today. The Public Health Department has determined that the problem we're having is in group gatherings, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a family reunion. We're coming up to the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. You may want to rethink, and you may want to encourage your constituents to rethink getting the extended family, having people come from all over the place, because if somebody at that gathering has COVID, it spreads not only through our area, but throughout the country at large. We are managing the outbreak as best we can. I know it's putting a great deal of strain, as you would expect, upon the Public Health Department. Mr. Donaldson with EMS has said that they're burning through PPE at an alarmingly high rate. It's even affecting the medical examiner as well for PPE that she has in dealing with her work. And because Red Granite Correctional is in the county, if there are deaths there, and I'm not making any predictions, but with a large number of cases, it's likely that eventually we're going to see some deaths there. Those will come under Amanda's jurisdiction, and she needs that equipment as well. The COVID task force is meeting tomorrow morning. If any of you would like to attend, you're welcome to do so. It's not a public meeting, but if any of you want to attend, we generally meet at 8:10. Are we meeting here or are we meeting over across the street? Well, anyway, it'll either be in this room or it'll be in the conference room of Public Health. If you're wondering how we're managing this crisis, please feel free to attend. You're welcome to do so. I will tell you that the PPE issue is coming up, and for those who don't know, PPE is personal protective equipment. That's coming up. I intend to emphasize to our emergency manager, Mr. Diesterhoff, who I like to call the scrounger. And I know, Mrs. Collada, your husband probably knew guys in Vietnam who were very good at that. Norman's very good at that as well, as getting us equipment. I don't ask a lot of questions how he did it, but I will probably encourage him to make sure he can replenish our supplies. So that's on the COVID front. The other thing that I want to talk about is the buildings renovation project. We had a presentation it wasn't last month. I know we're off on our schedule, a couple of weeks ago from Samuel's Group and Venture Architects. I don't know if they mentioned it at the presentation, but they anticipate having some sort of report and recommendations either early or mid-December. I'm probably going to go with mid-December, maybe even later than that. just so you know what the process will be. Once we get that, we will take that to the Buildings Renovation Committee. And for those of you who don't know, that's the committee of about 35 people. I know some of you are on that committee. This is top heavy with community leaders by design. If we get the report, I would say anytime in December, it will be tough to assemble that committee before the holidays. So it's probably looking more like we'll do it after the first of the year. They will look at it, either tweak it or approve it. And that recommendation would come to you, the governing body, and hopefully to be approved. But we are moving forward with that. Despite the recession, we're in pretty decent shape. We are framing the pitch, as I discussed a few months ago, for interest rates. And this is something that we need to do. Certainly, it's obvious we've neglected our buildings. In fact, this morning, Miss Kunash from the Argus was here to do a story on our security measures here for the courthouse. And afterwards, she needed some figures as to what we spent for some of the equipment. And we were in Miss Lucchini's office, and here it was. This was early in the morning. She had her windows open because it was so ungodly hot in her office. And that's the case all throughout the winter, because it's just too hot, because our heating and cooling system is so ill functioning. And in the summer, Sarah sits in there with a blanket because it's too cold. So we need to fix that. We are wasting money every single month. In addition, this will, as you saw from the presentation from Samuels, they are going to make an effort to hire local contractors, so it will goose the economy a bit around here as well. And it will go ahead and give us returns on improving our infrastructure in much the same way that you saw in the Great Depression with a lot of the public works project, highways, parks, courthouses were built all over the country as well. I'm going to go sit down because I know we want to keep these meetings moving. That's all I have, unless somebody has any questions. Again, if you have questions that you think of tomorrow, you can call me, email me, or if you're in the building, you can stop by. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Civic. Next, we are going to have the UW Extension Annual Report.
Hello, everyone. For those who don't see me on a very regular basis, and unfortunately with COVID, I don't get up here anymore on a very regular basis. My name is Adam Haiti, and I am the Area Extension Director for Area 14. Oh, sorry. So, can you guys hear me online all right?
Yes.
Okay. So, this is going to be hard for me because I don't like to stand in one place. So I'm sorry if I do start drifting backwards. I hope not to be talking that long. So we should be. Because the plan is I just want to give a few opening remarks, and then I really want the educators to talk a little bit about each of their programs. So with that, if I get this. Yep. There we go. So just the mission of UW Extension, or UW-Madison Extension, is to extend the knowledge and resources of the University of Wisconsin to the people where they live and work. So really, we're an extension of the university here in Waushara County to help bring those resources to you guys here in Waushara County and all the citizens of Waushara County as well. And we do this through a partnership. So we have the extension budget, and yay, the hearing, I guess, went really, really smooth this year. So but it's a partnership between the county and the state. So most of the educators are hired by the state. As we look last year, as we looked at who was staffed in here within 19 and 20, we had Health and Wellbeing, who's Marianne Schilling. She was co-funded between the county and the state. We have Heidi. She was 4-H. She was also co-funded between the state and the county. You guys had Ken Williams in agriculture. He was part-time funded through the county. You guys also had FoodWise in Julie Roseberry and now Laura McCauley, and those are all funded by the state. So it really is this partnership of different employees, both state and county employees. And let's not forget our support staff, because they're truly integral to the office. Just an outline here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Area 14 is made up of Juneau, Adams, Waushara, Marquette, and Green Lake counties. So we kind of try to work together also. In addition to being just within the counties, we try to work with those other counties and educators to do some cross programming and really be effective for all the citizens of that area. And again, this slide is just representing the different program areas. And with that, not to eat up any of your time, I will give you the agriculture one, since some of you may or may not know, but Ken did resign as of the 30th of October. He is no longer working in the extension office. Just some of the highlights of what agriculture did. He was working part-times in the morning. He did these weekly articles for the Argus. I know those were extremely popular. And we will see what we can do in the future to help maintain maybe some of those. Maybe not as frequently as Ken had wrote them, but we're going to work together to see what we can do moving that forward. He worked with some grain grower meetings. He worked with Wisconsin Ag Specialization. They've renamed themselves, but they still do put out a newsletter. And I do know that newsletter still comes to the office and gets sent out. I think the last one just came out last month or maybe somewhere within that neighborhood. Master gardeners are actually going to be going through some changes, so there might be some opportunities as well to keep master gardeners functioning and moving within the county, even if we don't have an ag presence in the short run. And then just general office calls and inquiries on different agriculture and horticulture questions. So that's what ag was doing. And with that, I will turn it over to 4-H.
Thank you, Adam.
In Waushara County, we have 14 4-H clubs with 305 members and 131 leaders, volunteer leaders who are working with these youth. And 4-H is open to youth in grades K through 13, where they're learning leadership, citizenship, and life skills. And this would be done through their project work, their community service they're doing, and leadership in their 4-H club as officers. In Waushara County, our highest, or the projects with the highest enrollment are archery, which is our shooting sports, art, the arts and crafts, photography, rabbits, poultry, swine, and vegetables. So I'm going to talk about 4-H prior to COVID in March. 4-H clubs were meeting in person. The youth are the officers in the 4-H clubs. Clubs were doing community service. They were doing roadside cleanup. They were making cards for veterans. They were all doing this as a 4-H club. We had countywide sewing Saturdays, which were held here at the courthouse in the months of January and February. And the first week of March, we had an amazing Project Discovery Day. We had a whole day of sessions, learning sessions for the youth, and we had over about 150 youth participating in our Project Discovery Day. The picture on the left is a young gal who made a tote bag at the Sewing Saturday. In the middle is a 4-H club. They had collected, if you can see on the table, there were gifts last year for the Community Christmas Project. And then on the right is a 4-H club in Pine River that had put food baskets together and delivered them to people in the Pine River area. So all this was done as a club. Mid-March, 4-H had to be reshaped due to COVID. So 4-H clubs and committees are meeting virtually. They're meeting through Zoom. Clubs and committees have had election of officers through Zoom, which has been challenging. The Livestock Committee had election of officers through Zoom. In September, we had 75 participants on who were all voting. 4-H camps were canceled this summer, so I provided Camp in a Box to 4-H or to the youth in the county, and also our Cloverbud Camp. Our annual Cloverbud Camp was canceled, so I did a Cloverbud box for these youth. And the boxes consisted of 5 to 6 different activities that the youth and the families picked up and then did the projects. And then there was reflection at the end, because that is part of 4-H. 4-H is the do, reflect, apply. They do something, they reflect on it, and then how can I make this better? What went wrong? How can I improve on it? And how can I apply it to the next activity? Our Festival of Arts was held virtually. This summer we had weekly photo challenges. And each week there was a different theme, and the members submitted photos, and there was a weekly drawing for a gift card to a local ice cream restaurant. Projects in a Box, I decided based on the success of the 4-H Camp in a Box, we had 55 youth this summer who had requested camp boxes, to start with Projects in a Box to really continue to be engaged with these youth and provide them some learning experiences when many things are canceled and can only be done virtually. So our first project in a box was a barn quilt. It was a 2-foot by 2-foot piece of plywood that they received along with paints, brushes, pattern, and directions to paint a barn quilt. And we had 58 youth who had requested projects in a box. And I'm rolling out the next batch of projects in a box in December, and there will be 3 different boxes. One will be a ribbon wreath. The second is a baking. There will be supplies to make fudge. And then the third is ornaments. There will be 2 different ornaments. And these boxes are offered to the families at no charge. The youth, when they work in the 4-H food stand, these are how funds are spent to provide projects in a box. Prior to COVID, I had 1 week where I visited the area libraries and were providing the STEAM lessons and the A+ after school. So once COVID hit, I provided kits in a bag to these area libraries, these STEAM lessons. And one of the things also was this year I was successful in launching a Cloverbud or a 4-H spin club. It's a special interest at the Riverview School. So every Friday I went to the school for an hour and did a lesson and then an activity. And then once school was canceled, that all came to a halt. And I'm very excited that we are going to be starting this up in December of this year again with the Riverview School. I will be doing it virtually, and I'm very fortunate to have a volunteer leader who is on staff at Riverview and the A+ program, so she will be doing it in person and I will be doing it through Zoom. 4-H ambassadors, they're youth that are in high school and 8th grade and really building those leadership skills. This past year, the ambassadors put on our leader and member recognition banquet. They did the Winter Cloverbud Day Camp held in February, and then also the New Family Night. And from a state perspective, I am involved in the State 4-H Art Lab and Arts Camp. I am the coordinator for the Leadership Washington Focus, taking youth to Washington, D.C. throughout Wisconsin for an experience for the government experience. Also, on the planning committee for 4-H and Youth Conference and Fall Forum. The Fall Forum is going to be this weekend virtually. And I was part of the planning committee for the virtual learning community, and we provided virtual learning opportunities throughout the summer each day. There was an activity or a learning activity each day. I know Marianne provided a couple days of learning. So, and now our main focus had been the virtual Fall Forum, and we're going to start back up to provide virtual learning throughout Wisconsin. And as you all know, our 4-H food stand, that was a big endeavor this year. We had received the funding from the Washira County Fair Board, Washira County community members, and the 4-H Leaders Association. So we're very optimistic that this summer there will be a county fair and we can have our grand opening of our 4-H food stand. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Do you have any questions for Heidi? Thank you very much. And Mary Ann's was standing over here on deck.
All right, thank you very much. So I think you would agree with me that health and well-being of the residents of Washira County is very important, whether it's physical health, emotional health, or mental health. So I work towards improving and maintaining the health of the families and communities where our residents thrive. This past year, I had 842 contacts in 94 events. The pictures that you see on the slide is our Aging Mastery Program that was held this spring before COVID. So it was January, February, March. And we graduated those people that you saw there. That is a great partnership that we have with the Department of Aging. So we work well together to continue that program. That was the 7th program of the Aging Mastery Program. So we've had over 150 people graduate now. In addition, I also have taught Girl Power at the A+ After School program. I haven't been able to do that since COVID, so I would have taught it in the spring, but I will be teaching it this fall. And then we have continued offering our monthly Lunch and Learn workshops, which continue to be popular. So one of the things that I focus on is financial concepts and teaching financial concepts to families. Here you see in the pictures are what we call dollars during development. That is taught to kindergarten and first grade children, and I've received a Thrivent financial grant to cover the cost of books that children take home. So each child gets 4 books in the series, and then I also purchase some games for them to play. The other thing that I teach is, or offer, is financial coaching. Most of my financial coach recipients are participating in the treatment court. So I attend those staff meetings when they're held and also attend the treatment court. And I've offered the Rent Smart program in the jail. That is a 6-week program that helps the jail inmates to prepare to go out into the communities when they leave the jail and know how to be a good renter and be a responsible renter. So some of the things that I also teach and youth and adults learn from health and well-being, they learn life skills, they have healthy decision-making in their lives, they learn how to have healthy relationships, manage their finances, as I mentioned, and also just take care of their wellness around stress management and prevention. And one of the things that we've observed as I teach, whether it's in the libraries, lunch and learn classes, with especially families, it's a great opportunity for them to have some family time, and it's good for their stress management. It seems like people's mental health really, you can just see their countenance pick up, so to speak. They're very happy, and I think it just really helps to get people out of their homes and learning some new skills. So the other thing I do, I am involved in coalitions and work groups and provide leadership to them. So one of the groups that I am a leader of is the Financial Wellness Work Group. That's part of WSHERA's vision, which is under the WSHERA Prevention Council. And we had gotten a grant, again, from Thrivent Financial that we were going to use during Money Smart Week, which we were going to be at Blue Ribbons Kids Day the first weekend in April, and that was canceled. So we had money, and we thought, what can we spend this on? So we took that money, and we put a story walk at Bird Creek Park. Have any of you been there or seen it? Please go. Especially now we have some nice weather days coming up, and it's right along the Doc Poulet Trail there. There are 19 display cases. They feature a child's book and sometimes 2 different storybooks. It depends on the length of the book. And so we have chosen books that include financial education, but that will appeal to children. We also partnered with the Ice Age Trail and Trout Unlimited. We found out they're improving the trout stream. So we're going to have books about nature. You know, it just makes sense, or maybe fish. So it's been a great partnership with many different partners that have come together. I want to give Bill, sitting behind me here, is one of our financial wellness work group members too, and has been active with that. So I really want to encourage you to get out to Bird Creek Park and walk along the trail and see the displays there. The other place that I provide leadership is with our Reach Washera Wellness Coalition. We have 3 different action teams: AODA, mental health, and our chronic disease prevention action team. And that's the last action team is the one I'm most active with in addition to being a vice chair. So we work on things like we got a drop box for drugs in Red Granite, getting messages out through social media on prevention and just healthy choices. And one of the things coming up, please go to our Reach Washera Wellness Facebook page or the Extension Facebook page. We are going to be doing a Rural Health Day, a walk around Wisconsin, or steps around Wisconsin. And last year we had over 300 participants. We all together walked 870 some miles. This year, the goal is 1,379 miles. So we really want people to be getting out there and making healthy choices. And these are some things we can still do during COVID-19. So I want to thank you, and just wondering if you, and after COVID-19. Sorry about that. So everything has gone virtual pretty much except our lunch and learn we are now holding in the demo room and practicing our social distancing. We have up to 9 participants and they're all wearing their masks. We have the Aging Mastery Program. I actually just graduated 6 people that attended virtually. And I was really proud of them because they really grasped using Zoom and Zoom meetings. I will be offering a co-parenting class at the end of this month. We did do some virtual lunch and learn workshops, and I did offer a series of mindful minutes to county employees in the spring. We continue to meet virtually through Reach Washera, and our financial wellness work group met sometimes 2 or 3 times in a month when we were planning the story walk and getting that going. So although it's not ideal, it's working well to meet virtually. We're making it work, and I would say making the best that we can of the situation. Any questions?
Mary Ann, are you still going out to the jail or?
I have not.
No. Okay.
Yes, it has come up. And if I can offer some other options, newsletters to families possibly, or,
Oh, that's neat. Yeah.
Mhm. So,
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Any
You're
other
welcome.
questions? Thank you, Mary Ann.
you're welcome. And I will turn it over to Laura, my colleague.
And I do love the Aging Mastery Group program. That's awesome. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Laura McCulley. I am the FoodWise coordinator for Marquette, Washera, and Green Lake counties. And in my program, I am also supported by an educator who Adam mentioned, Julie Roseberry. She's not here tonight. So in our program, FoodWise is actually the SNAP education arm in Wisconsin. So we're funded by a federal grant, and we're mandated that the groups that we work with have to be at least 50% of them fall below the federal poverty line. So we predominantly work with schools because we can tell eligibility by free and reduced lunch rates. So our lesson plans that we predominantly use are Color Me Healthy, which is for 4K, and it's like a really fun way to make fruits and veggies fun. We do Choose Health. We introduce kids to My Plate, which is that green thing up in the top corner. We do Serving Up My Plate, and then we also do Read for Health, and we do Teen Cuisine too. So this is the programming that we offered last year that we were successfully able to deliver. We did A+ after school programming with 8th graders, 6th through 8th graders at Parkside. We were in Tri-County Elementary for 1st, 3rd, and 4th K, in Coloma Elementary, and at CAP Services Head Start. So we successfully delivered 72 lessons with 152 participants with an indirect reach of 467 estimate. We also had a lot of stuff planned that we weren't able to do due to COVID. So that included the Tri-County Summer School Program and working again with After School for their summer school program. So in total, we canceled 105 direct ed lessons due to COVID just in Washera County. After COVID, we have switched our focus. a lot to professional development. That was the primary directive of Foodwise as a program as we were coming through COVID, trying to figure out what we were doing. And we've actually done a lot of virtual coalitions. So Julie has been on several curriculum teams helping with virtual design for instructions such as the Color Me Healthy. She was on that work group and helped design some really awesome PowerPoints, so we'll be able to deliver that virtually. And I was on the Policy Systems and Environmental Change work group, talking about how we can support schools and other areas in environmental and larger scale changes. We've actually already jumped into some virtual education. So I'm doing Strong Bodies as part of a group that's Area 14 wide. So with our colleagues in Adams and Juneau County, and Marianne actually offers a version of her Aging Mastery program to that group. So that's super great. And then we also are doing Bitmoji classrooms, which is the pictures on the top. That's Julie's Bitmoji talking about grocery shopping to kids. And that's the front page of our teen cuisine that we're actually doing right now with A+ After School. I just did a lesson there this afternoon. And then we will also be having Color Me Healthy with CAP services coming up. And that's all I have for you. Any questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So thank you guys. I just want at the very end say thank you for the support you've given us over the last year, and we continue to work in this great partnership. If you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out to me. If it's not tonight, later on. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Adam. All right, next we will have our Veteran Service Officer, Bill Rosenau, in his annual report.
All right, Madam Chair, County Board, members of the public. Hi, Mary. Thanks for taking the time or giving me the time to talk tonight. I just wanted to share some highlights from 2019. Some key indicators where things have moved, maybe why they've moved there and where they might be moving in the future. And drawing on some of these indicators, some key takeaways, and then a couple of asks for you as community leaders and the political weight of the county. In front of you, you're going to see my annual report. If you want to take the time to read through it, if you have any questions, of course, reach out to me. It will be followed by the annual charity report. I just didn't finish researching all of them, but I'll have that to you folks shortly. I'm not going to insult you by reading the slides, but I did want to highlight a couple of points. We're beginning to notice the forecasted downturn in the veterans population, and that downturn is starting to show in the veterans performance measures for the office. In 2019, we saw less overall individual interaction with the office and a reversal in some pretty significant trends. Although very slight at this point, I think I can make some general predictions of where they're going. It's important to keep in mind that although we are seeing and predicting a continued decline in the veterans population, we do continue to see an upward trend in the fiscal impact realized from this reduced population. We'll talk about that in a second. In 2019, nearly half of the financial assistance rendered from the Commission Fund was to meet dental care needs. And the reliance of the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs Aid to Needy Veterans Grant for specific to dental more than quadrupled between 2018 and 2019. Talking about transformation, as you read through the annual report, you're going to notice that I discussed some major transformative changes in the VA. I'm not going to go over all of them because we're talking some pretty sweeping changes, but I do want to highlight one because it shows both deleterious and positive effects at the same time. The VA's Mission Act. In a nutshell, in June of 2018, a law was passed that went into effect in June of 2019. The idea of that law, the Mission Act, was to create a network of community providers who could offer veterans who were actively enrolled in VA health care local access to care at VA expense. So a pretty good idea. They had tried it several times before with the Choice program, the Choice First program, heading in the right direction, but those programs failed miserably, to put it bluntly. The downside of this transformation. One of the challenges was at the time, although they'd had a year to work on it, the network of community care wasn't built. In fact, the contractor who was responsible for building the network, the hospital network, was hired 2 weeks before the law went into effect. This is compounded by the fact that the earlier laws had sunsetted the fall prior, and the contractor that had that management contract for that community care had actually folded their tent and left in September of 2018. That's 9 months prior to the fielding date of the new program. So during this transition from a defunct, non-existing program to a new program that wasn't built yet, the VA changed its entire community care billing process. Not only the process, but the billing locations, the contact centers, lock, stock, and barrel. They changed them 3 times in 9 months. Let's add insult to injury. The VA, in the Appeals Modernization Act, snuck in some changes surrounding how emergency care would be managed in the VA. This resulted in a couple of presidential court cases at both the Federal Circuit Court and the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Stab v. McDonald, Stab v. Philkin, Wolf v. Wilkie, blah, 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 blah. It changed how the VA was supposed to view and pay for emergency care. Specifically if another insurance became involved, like Medicare. And if you look at the population of Waushara County, we're talking pretty much all of our VA healthcare enrollees. Long story longer, it was the intent of Congress to say, if a veteran is actively enrolled in VA healthcare and they suffer from a life-threatening emergency, their concern should be to save their lives, and the VA should pick up the tab. That was the intent. The veteran should only ever be liable to cover the cost of the applicable copay to the VA. The legal change they snuck in actually said that they were responsible for emergency care unless another insurance, such as Medicare, became involved, and then they were off the hook. What these court cases said, in essence, was, nah, that's not what Congress meant. Unfortunately, the VA, even to this day, continues to dodge and weave and appeal because they had denied millions of claims for emergency care. So that's a fight that we're going to be taking on for veterans for quite a while. Let's think about an 85-year-old Waushara County veteran. Probably limited access to a computer system. Doesn't have the same tools at their disposal that I might have sitting at my desk, or even that the VA might have, and the VA couldn't even contact the VA. That was a part of this whole communication gap. And I'm going to add in another level of complication. This is just one program change. This is stemming from the Mission Act. The VA is moving from electronic claims into an electronic claims process. An environment that means dependency on digits and computers. Again, think about our population. Let's look at the fact that I live 2.5 miles outside of town and I cannot get high-speed internet. Again, let's look at the population of Waushara County. A glaring example of some of the challenges these veterans are facing because of this transformation. Just on October 13th, the VA said, we are no longer accepting paper or fax or mail direct deposit forms. You have to go online and fill it out because that's what Social Security does. Again, let's think about that Waushara County resident. On the upside, they are building the network, and some local providers are on board. That's reducing the reliance on our county transportation assets. Less travel distance and less travel time for veterans to gain health care. Now And that's money into the pockets of local businesses, local employers, local employees. Just simply by switching that focus from traveling to the VA for the care to VA covered care here in the local community. I'm not gonna beat around the bush on this one. Getting Fox Valley Tech here was a huge benefit to the county. This gain is very easily recognized simply in a comparison between the fiscal year 2018 and fiscal year 2019 education benefits. Fiscal year 2018 saw $202,000 of VA education benefits coming into Waushara County residents' pockets. In 2019, that more than doubled to $426,000. That's pretty significant, and I think a harbinger of good things to come, and a great example of what good community stewardship can result in. The declining population. Although we are seeing the veterans population decline, and that's been predicted by pretty much, well, any kind of measure or indicator you can think of. Let's think about again who makes up the Waushara County population. In 2018, we saw the VA spend about $7.8 million on Waushara County residents for health care. In 2019, although we saw a slight decline in the veterans population, that number jumped up to $9.8 million in health care. I think that's a pretty strong indicator, not only of maybe higher healthcare costs, but also a significant increase in the level of needed care. We can see this same trend line reflected in the compensation and pension benefits that are brought in, an increase in the level of disability. This was an increase from 1.28 million on a population that decreased. This was an increase of 1.28 million on a population that decreased by about 40 or 50 people. So pretty significant increase in compensation. Overall, we saw a raw increase in VA benefits extended to Waushara County veterans from approximately 16 million in benefits in 2018 to about 20 million in 2019. I think the first line is self-explanatory, but to hit a couple of points home, as the VA continues to transform itself, that transformation doesn't necessarily mean things get easier for the veteran. That interaction actually seems to be increasing its complexity, and that translates directly to more complexity in our local casework. As the veteran populations continues to age, that disability picture, medical needs become more, let's call it intricate, and our office interventions are a bit more essential. The formalization of a network of community providers could use a boost. ThedaCare, quite honestly, they are the largest provider in this region that has signed the contracts with the VA. But a couple of local providers are pretty gun shy because of the failed choice program. We could use some of the county leadership spreading a little bit of weight, chatting it up a little bit, maybe talking to some of these other community providers to see if we can't get them on board and expand that medical base for our veterans here locally. One of the challenges with affordable dental care is the true inability to find affordable care and affordable coverage. Although the VA can act as a gateway to purchase some affordable dental insurance, important to realize that not all veterans are eligible for VA health care. Only about a third of them are. And only a portion of that 1/3 is actually going to purchase that dental insurance. I think some political hands really need to pull back the curtain on this need, because it's not just Waushara County. This is statewide. Talking with other CVSOs, looking at some state reports, more and more and more is going out to veterans in need specifically to cover dental care. Rural broadband initiative, a rural broadband initiative. Shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody that we really needed this to be a focus. And why it hasn't gained a national focus or a state focus is a mystery to me. It boggles my mind that we live in one of the most resource-rich countries in the world, one of the most technologically advanced, and our internet structure is actually less than most second world countries. This could really use a little political push, and the benefit to veterans, specifically with this transformation to a digital world on the VA, would be pretty phenomenal. Subject to your questions. Easy.
Any questions? Bill, I think every conference we attend, we hear about broadband and everybody tells, the powers that be that we need broadband. And unfortunately, it seems to be falling on deaf ears. Wasn't it Jefferson and Green Lake County? No, not Jefferson and Dodge. No. Mhm. Yeah.
Bill's right, it needs political will, and if that's coming from grassroots, us talking to state legislators, that's where you get to.
Okay.
I'm going to hop on the stump for a quick second, though.
All right.
It
Go right
really
ahead.
is having an impact on our veterans right now.
I believe it. Yeah. I know. Thank you, Bill. Next, to consideration and possible action on the following resolution and ordinance. This is resolution number 34-11-20, a resolution approving the Waushara County 2021 budget appropriation. Motion by Mr. Bonfiglio, a second by Mr. Jarvis. Do we have any questions or comments? Larry?
Well, I have one. I think it's a good budget in the regard that it's basically a zero increase budget. But I'm wondering what's going to happen in the future. We're not always going to have reserves to fall back on. We're going to have to give our employees an increase next year.
Absolutely.
And other costs are anticipated to go up. I'm concerned about what's going to happen in the future.
Point well taken. As I discussed with some of the committees, we're okay for 21. We'll be fine. But I will tell you, if this recession continues to be 4 or 5 years, we're going to have to make some tough choices. But you are right about the employees. They have been extraordinarily gracious in I have not received, and I get a lot of complaints. I've not received any complaints from the 0% increase, because the way it was presented to the employees, and they know this because they talk to other public employees in other counties, municipalities, et cetera, is we, the administration, and you have taken the position that we'll keep everybody on the payroll, because this is not the time to lose your job, particularly in a country where healthcare is employer-based. So we'd asked everybody to suffer a little, so we wouldn't have half a dozen, 10 employees suffer a lot. And they've done that. I'm hoping that the economy will come around. I will say, last Thursday, the first time unemployment claim numbers, I think, were 700,000 or plus. It had been around the million mark. I mean, in a healthy economy, it'll be about 250,000. So I do see some improvements. I think that it doesn't appear that the economy is getting any worse, but if it does drag on for years, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. But regardless, you're going to have to make some tough decisions, because we really do need to get those wages up for some of these employees. And I'm not saying that as a greedy public employee. I'm just telling you from what we are paying people. Obviously, we cannot, we never will be able to compete with the private sector, but we are having difficulty competing with the public sector. So that is something you're going to have to look at for 22 and 23. You're going to see some substantial requests for wage increases. And I understand what you're saying, but for now, I think we can keep everything in place. We can keep the ship afloat. I'm not trying to put off problems or say, we'll kick the can down the road, but I don't know what things are going to be like in 22 or 23. I'm going to remain optimistic and think that we can go ahead and correct these problems then. I'm optimistic. I believe in this country. We've had economic problems, but we've always come out of it. There's nothing as formidable as the American economy. That engine is just spectacular for producing wealth, and I think it will come through again.
Thank you. Anything else? Larry?
I have one other thing. I have some questions about our debt situation, and I wonder if somebody could give us some background on that. It shows a 44% increase. I realize that it's something due to shifting things around probably, but.
So I don't have the exact figures with me this evening, but the past few years, our new debt that we took out for the $1.9 million bond, we were funding the payment on surplus, and instead of showing it under our debt, we put the debt on the levy and just applied the surplus into one spot in the general fund. Otherwise, it would have showed the same amount of debt or same amount of funds that we're going to apply from surplus. It would have shown in our non-departmental budget and in the debt service. Instead, we just put the debt service on the levy, putting all of what we're applying from reserves in one location.
Does that answer your question, Larry?
Yes, I don't quite see the purpose of it, but.
I mean,
I'm assuming that that was something that Mike Konechny recommended.
Correct. He said you might as well just put it all in one area instead of having it in two separate locations. So you see the figure that we're applying from reserves versus having to add them up in multiple locations.
Okay. Thank you.
I always tell the staff, and I tell you, I'm confident enough to know when I'm in people who are very great deal of expertise in government finance, particularly borrowing money from government projects, that they make these recommendations and I follow them. Even if you don't agree with them, the important thing is the people on Wall Street, this is the way they make decisions. And I will tell you, even shaving a 1/10% off of the interest rate will have an enormous savings for this county and its taxpayers when we borrow money to retrofit buildings or any other need.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, we have a motion and a second. If there are no more questions, we will have a roll call vote.
Mr. Tim,
Aye.
Mr. Cap,
Aye.
Mr. Eckstein,
Aye.
Mr. Jarvis,
Aye.
Mrs. Collada,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Wadel,
Aye.
Mr. Kirschner,
Aye.
Mr. Bonfiglio,
Aye.
and Mr. Piaski.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next, we have ordinance number 656, the ordinance amending Waushara County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58, Waushara County Code Zone Change. Teresa Ganduso, Town of Dakota.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Waddell. Second by Mr. Cap. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And next we have appointments, and this is the Parks ADA Accessibility Project Citizen Participation Committee. Amanda Kuchar, Health Promotions Coordinator, Town of Leon. Deb Behringer, former Administrative Coordinator, Town of Mount Morris. Jacob Manthe, Lead Crisis Worker, Town of Marion. Jeff Nett, former Sheriff, Town of Watoma Chairman. Jenny Addis, county resident, Watoma, and I think she, according to the little biopsy or whatever you call that, she works with the Ice Age Trail, correct? Jim Button, owner and operator of Evergreen Campsites, Town of Springwater. Joan Cap, Village of Red Granite board member. Julia Saylor, right? Bob?
Taylor.
Staler, okay, Town of Richford. Michelle Carpenter, I'm sorry, Linda Freudenthal, Realtor and Tredsey Board Member, Watoma. Michelle Carpenter, CLTS and CCOP Social Worker, Town of Mount Morris. And Tom Cole, County Resident, Watoma. Ruth, I got to give you a credit. You put together a really awesome committee. I think that will serve us all well. Congratulations. Now I need a motion. Motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Jarvis. Do you have any questions?
I believe Jenny Addis is Hancock, not Coloma. I believe that would be the only change I would see on it.
Okay.
I'm sure she still lives with her mother and dad. I don't know where in Coloma, but you know,
Okay.
you might want to ask, might want to check on
Maybe she has a cabin on the Ice Age train.
it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Now, do we have board suggestions for future agenda items?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Eckstein to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Tim, and that is not debatable, right? We are adjourned. What?
We could do something about it. My birthday. What's that? My birthday. Well, you can bring treats then.
I can't remember. Are you sure I just sent that message? I think I sent that a while ago. I think so. Really? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, I'll text instead. Okay, sorry. I was racking my brain trying to figure out what I. Yeah. Oh, if it was something really important, I would have tracked you down. Yeah.
You never know. You gotta take someone out.
Let's
I,
see.
I got called,
Robert, you're gonna
from
break
somebody
down
from
the West?
Kimberly Clark.
County board
Said we were
meeting.
back in the dark ages. We shouldn't have
I
to
didn't send
telephone me. We
anything
should
out
have
with that.
I don't know what it is. As far
Yeah,
as the
show it
town
to
board.
Barry maybe.
And